good evening, good morning, good afternoon, good whatever it happens to be, wherever you folks are. Howdy, all you nerds. Welcome once again back to Nerd Week Live here on multiple platforms. I think if this is working right, you should be able to be you should be seeing me. I'm looking to see whether or not I'm showing up yet on YouTube. Oh,
Hey,
looks like we
YouTube up.
started to fade, and okay. How about YouTube? How about Facebook? Let's look at Facebook. Are we there? We are. We're live on Facebook. Um, Still not live on YouTube. Man, that's a long. That is one really long delay there, YouTube. And we are also, in theory, live on Twitch. There we go on YouTube. Wow, that was pretty close to a minute. All right, and checking the Twitches. So bear with us, folks. This is the first time we've tried to do this sort of thing. And we are, in fact, live on Twitch. Awesome. I think Twitch is more responsive. Boy, none of these feeds are particularly fast. Well, good news for all of you folks. I'm getting a new desktop, so I'll be able to stream more effectively, I think. It's definitely not my connection running the FiOS 100 or 250 or whatever. Synchronous up and down, so that's not
I'm jealous.
And yeah,
Yeah, YouTube is super laggy.
yeah, everything right now is super laggy, and that will be something we'll have to work out on or with our multi-streaming platform, Caster. Oh boy, we got a ton of people. Before I get into saying hello for everybody or to everybody, I'm Rodney Brown. I'm the editor-in-chief of Nerd Caliber. You folks probably all know that if you've been on this channel. The first-person shooter on Facebook and Burley_Adopter on Twitter. Joining us tonight, we'll start with a person who's been away for a long time because of the edumacating. Byron, introduce yourself.
Guys. Hi, guys. Byron McNeil, a.k.a. Byron D0. I write things for the site. I review things. Games and movies mostly. Back when we still had conventions, I was a contributing writer and social media guy for that as well. But now I'm just glad to be here and be back in my comfort zone.
Cool. Glad to have you back. And the ever more amazingly bearded bald gentleman below me, if you would introduce yourself, sir.
Hi, everybody. Greg, a.k.a. Wonder Llama Cosplay and or Photography, depending on what mood strikes me at the time. Associate producer here at Nerd Caliber, and Rodney's younger, somewhat more hirsute doppelganger. Glad to be back with you. I had to take last week off. We got some fun stuff queued up this evening. A couple things I'm personally excited about. That's all I got. I got nothing to plug, got no shows, got no photos to post online. I got nothing. So let's just talk about stuff.
And we're going to talk about stuff, and we're going to say hello to, oh boy, there's so many people who were here even before I started. So, Savage Pack, Elise Angela, Manuela, the Cheetah Warrior, welcome to the show. Luminous, welcome back. Always good to have you. Twana Smith, welcome to the show. And I think that's got everybody. Luminous says audio is fine on YouTube. I'm looking at our other platforms. Facebook Live seems to be the best right now. So I don't want to, force anybody off of any given platform. But if you get a chance to jump over to our Facebook, facebook.com/nerdcaliber, that might give you a better view of what's going on in addition to, having the quality sound. Speaking of quality sound,
The resolution is really good up here too on Facebook.
Yeah, honestly, Facebook is clearer than it's been on any of the other channels we've ever done. So, pretty happy with that. But we got a ton of people on YouTube, and that's where a lot of our chat happens. So we'll stick with YouTube as well. We'll just hope the video eventually catches up, or I'm smart enough to figure out how to get this to work better. So, having said that, starting off with our first topic, because we got a bunch of stuff here, folks. This one's going to be real quick. That beautiful, amazing bit of awesomeness that just popped up onto your screen is Mark Hamill in whatever role he's playing in the upcoming second season of What We Do in the Shadows. And it's just gorgeous. The article that we discovered this in, this Entertainment Weekly, it's the first look, which is why they've got their logo up there, apparently has some spoilers. And so we're not going to talk much about it. We're just going to show you this fantastic image of this fantastic human being. And say his episode appears, I believe, May 13th is what it said.
Yep.
So, yay. I'm looking forward to it. Everybody else, Byron, did you see What We Do in the Shadows yet?
Not yet, but I apparently got plenty of time to do it.
Well, yeah, we all do.
Fair enough.
Yeah, I think I know Greg's a huge fan. I'm a fan.
Yep.
So we all recommend it highly. Go see that thing, and you'll love it.
Yeah, this is hands down the best vampire costume I've ever seen. And this is just a shitty screen cap.
It's adorable.
Entertainment, whatever entertainment magazine. The funny thing is, and this is not spoilery by any stretch, they were talking to Mark Hamill about this, and he had a little backstory about how, like, one of his kids introduced him to the original movie, and then said, watch the show. He's like, the two main guys aren't in it. It's probably not going to be that great, and just fell in love with the show and the ensemble. And it was one of those funny fanboy things where he's like, I just like on a lark kind of threw out there to like some people to see if maybe like I could go to the set and watch the show sometime. And next thing you know, they're casting me. And next thing you know, I'm a vampire in this show. And he's like fanboying, like, if Mark Hamill called up anybody who's on here right now and said, hey, you want to be a Jedi in my next Star Wars movie? Like, yes, I do. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Oh, please.
So,
not that he's going to be a Jedi in another Star Wars movie ever, but well.
So looking forward to it. Should be good. I've been doing, I've got a small group of people that gets together for Wednesday night Shadows, Cocktails, Zoom meeting.
Ooh, cool.
Yeah.
Honoka-chan, welcome to the show. We are broadcasting on multiple platforms right now, and so far, Facebook.com/nerdcaliber is where we're getting hands down the least amount of lag, the smoothest video and audio experience. So again, I don't want to force anybody to go one way or the other, but actually right now YouTube is looking pretty good too. So
yeah, I was just going to say YouTube seems to have caught up.
Yep.
It was like frame, but I'm popping over there to keep an eye on the chat as well, and now it's a lot smoother.
Yep. All right, we're going from the sublime story that is all about Mark Hamill and a vampire to the ridiculous. Somebody thought it was a good idea to make a sequel to Bright. Yep, Bright 2.
I still haven't seen the first one.
You should, just so that you'll have the experience and you can share in all of our pain. All right, Bright is not horrible. It's just not good. And it didn't seem like it was good enough or popular enough to warrant a sequel, but not only are they making a sequel, instead of David Ayer directing it, who wrote and directed the first one, Louis Leterrier is going to be directing it.
What has he done?
Incredible Hulk, both the first two Transporter movies, Jet Li's Unleashed. This guy's good at good, funny action movies, like really good. Can he save this? Thoughts and opinions?
I mean, judging, all the movies that he named, his catalog seems okay at best. So the most we can really expect from this is mediocrity.
Yeah, I don't know. I would disagree. I think Transporter is one of the best made action, stylish action movies of the last couple of decades. Transporter 2 did not live up to it. That's true.
Okay, I thought you said sorry, I thought you said something very different. It involved giant robots fighting other giant robots. Very
No,
different.
that's a later story. He
Yes.
was not involved in any Transformers that I know of. No, Transporter.
Very different.
Yes, very different. Jet Li's Unleashed, I thought was really good. I
Wasn't bad.
haven't seen the Brothers Grimsby, that Sacha Baron Cohen, Mark Strong comedy. That
Okay.
he was also the director of that.
That pretty much lived and died on the two of them as actors
Yeah.
more than any other part of the movie.
I mean, Mark Strong. I think a lot of it was that Sacha Baron Cohen's comedy is basically being a dead horse, and Mark Strong still isn't a big enough name to carry a film.
Well, that could be. I mean, we don't know whether or not it made enough to be considered a success. If we're just looking at whether or not Louis Leterrier made a decent movie in his attempt to do what he was doing, I haven't seen it. Greg says it was okay. He hasn't made a ton of stinkers, put it that way.
Yep.
So it can't be.
I mean, we're not talking about UA Bull here.
No.
Huh.
Oh God, no. But speaking of the possibility of actually reinvigorating a really sad franchise, and getting back to what Greg had talked about or mentioned in his mistaken understanding of what I had said, let's talk Transformers.
Yes.
Robots in Disguise. An
Wait.
animated Transformers prequel has been set by Paramount, and it's going to be directed by Josh Cooley, who directed Toy Story 4.
That is awesome.
Sounds kind of awesome to me.
Sounds interesting.
As
I'm all for doing it as an animated thing at this point.
I just, the fanboy in me wants Hasbro to have some hand in it because, when they have an active role more so than they did in the Bay movies.
Yeah. Well, so I don't know if you saw. I don't think we ever covered this because it's like really super inside baseball stuff. But a while back, I think it was 6 or 8 months ago, Hasbro bought Studio E1, which produces an awful lot of stuff out of Canada. Some stuff that you've seen. I can't remember what it is, but I remember looking at their catalog. That weirdly, they also have Death Row Records. So. Yeah, so Hasbro owns Death Row. So Hasbro's E1 and Paramount are the two studios that are going to be making this.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Interesting.
So Hasbro
Okay.
definitely going to be involved.
They're going to need to start selling some toys again once we're out of lockdown.
Yeah. I mean, they can still sell them technically while we're in lockdown. It will just take forever to get to our houses.
So this is getting more interesting as I'm scrolling through here. I didn't get down this far in the article. It's going to be written by, or script has already been written by, Andrew Barrer and Gabriel Ferrari, who wrote Ant-Man and Ant-Man and the Wasp.
Interesting.
Two movies that I liked.
The Wasp was decent, not stellar.
Yeah.
Ant-Man I liked a lot.
Yeah, I think
Ant-Man and the Wasp I definitely enjoyed.
Yeah, I think the problem with Ant-Man and the Wasp was the villain, or the problem with the multiple villains, some of whom were really weak. If you can write a villain that is so weak that Walt Goggins looks lame doing it, that's a problem.
Yeah.
But other than that, I liked it a lot. I thought the basic structure of it, the comedy, as always, was on point, as it was in the first one. And the action was pretty much on point. The one thing I don't see here is whether or not this is going to be really cartoony animated, or if it's going to be computer animated and look anything like it takes place on
Metallic
Cybertron, or like the beginning of Bumblebee, which, even though it was done to try to be as photorealistic as possible, that was all CG.
I mean, as long as we don't get the metallic turds from the original franchise.
That is true. Camilio, hi. Uh, da, 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 da. Melvin, I don't know what your message says because I can't read Spanish and it's being hidden, so I'm just going to take YouTube's word for it and continue to hide it. Sorry about that, Melvin. Um, I'm sure their translator found something it didn't like, so we'll just keep it as is. Luminous, not really sure what to call you, what you're comfortably being called since we're on multiple platforms, so I'll stick with Luminous. But Luminous, on either platform, if you got any comment, I know you're a figurine guy. Weigh in on this, what you think about the Transformers animated prequel, etc. But in the meantime, we're going to move on to our next topic, and this yes, so much yes. There's an awful lot of stuff that happened over the weekend related to Star Wars, not the least of which was, of course, today is Revenge of the 5th. Yesterday, May the 4th, be with you, which is technically Star Wars Day, even though they stretched it out today with the very creative May the 5th. But the best news was that Taika Waititi is going to be making a Star Wars movie. Yay. Yeah. And of course, the reason I put that image up there of IG-11 is he voiced IG-11 in The Mandalorian and played IG-11 in the latter few episodes and directed the very last episode. So
now wait. Mark Hamill is in What We Do in the Shadows.
Yeah.
Still occasionally directed and produced by Taika Waititi. Huh. Can we maybe get like some sort of weird vampire Jedi hybrid for this? I'm gonna make some phone calls because I want to see that.
I think that would be awesome. It could be anything right now. Back up here. Luminous says, I wonder if some animated movies can be made under social distancing. I had not thought of that before. From what I understand, there's no reason why they can't. And in fact, little sidebar, a lot of the stuff, the anime coming out of Japan has been put on hold, but not all of them. And some of them are because they had everything in the can already. Some of them because particularly the CGI ones can be produced completely remotely because it's all done digitally. For those of us who are anime fans and are crying about the fact that, a lot of the shows that we got 3 episodes in and then they just stopped, there are some others that are still going on, which is cool. So,
can I pop in real quick?
Absolutely.
Actually, in the article about the Transformers animated series, it specifically mentions animated film and TV projects that are still in production, with voice actors recording from home studios, animators working remotely as well. And it specifically lists The Simpsons, Family Guy, Bob's Burgers, Animaniacs on Hulu, Green Eggs and Ham on Netflix, and I didn't actually know this was a thing, but okay. HBO's Gremlins, Secrets of the Mogwai.
I didn't know it was on there.
I think we talked about that once, like a long time ago.
Might have briefly
month
touched
ago.
on that, but so hey, cool. Another streaming service to order.
Oh God, and
So yeah, on the plus side, there are still, animated projects in general, unless they're, huge CGI projects that require the kind of major computer horsepower that you only have in, an ILM workshop sort of place. There's no reason why a lot of this stuff can't continue being produced at home.
And if things continue the way they are, I feel like there's going to be more of a demand for animated entertainment as well, since live action actors can't really do much in this setting.
This is true. That's a good point. Worst case scenario, a good use for the deep fake technology. But getting back to Taika Waititi in Star Wars.
Sorry.
No, that's quite all right. It's absolutely, that was a valid point and a good one. Um, one of the really cool things about this is that the movie will be co-written by Waititi and Christy Wilson Cairns, who co-wrote 1917 along with its director Sam Mendes. So I don't know that this is going to be sort of a maybe serio-comic funny drama war movie, sort of like Rogue One with even more humor. But that certainly could be the case given the people that are working on this thing, and I would love that. I mean, frankly, that sounds like heaven to me. Um,
Absolutely. I mean, I think we've touched on this a bunch of times, so I won't dive into any great detail here. But I think that's what injected so much new life into Thor Ragnarok, and then kind of what came after that with Chris Hemsworth character. It didn't take itself seriously. It's a comic book movie. He knew it was a comic book movie. It doesn't, he was like, yeah, I know Marvel's got this whole weight of history and backstory. I mean, what has more, dare we say, baggage than the Star Wars series?
yeah,
So many different people with different fan relationships to the movies. One person wants this, the different person wants the exact opposite of that. It's such a
That's how we got the last movie.
it's become so narrowcast at this point that I would love to see a side project, same universe, maybe Chewie pops in for a cameo sort of thing, and just let him do what he does well, which is serious but funny and lighthearted and not weighed down by 40 years of Star Wars.
yep, yep. Kind of what they're doing with Mandalorian, to be honest. Mandalorian Easter eggs aren't fan service shoved down your throat like Rise of Skywalker was, literally nonstop. The Easter eggs make sense and they're cool and they're sparsed out a fair amount, but they never get in the way of the plot. There are very funny moments, and I would love to see, with his involvement in The Mandalorian, taking that same feel and moving it into this movie.
Yep.
We did talk last week about the movie that is going to be made by a Russian doll director, or 2 weeks ago we talked about it. And that one is going to have a female protagonist. I just saw for the first time, and kept my dinner down, which is amazing, Rise of Skywalker. And if it's supposed to be a female-led character in this movie, or a female-led movie, if they make a spin-off movie with the writer and director of Russian Doll about Zori, I'm so 100% committed to that. Best storyline and character in that entire damn movie. But anyway, we don't know that's the case. But
Nope.
I guess it rolls down to the
That
fact
would
that
be
there's. Sorry, go ahead, Byron.
I said that would be awesome because we'd get more Kerry Russell, which I'm never opposed to.
Yep. Just like
This,
the one.
let me just throw in this one quote super quick that I think potentially speaks volumes. Taika Waititi was talking in February about the rumors. I said I would effing love to do it if it was right. I'd want to do any kind of movie if it made sense and if it felt not like career suicide, which, I like the subtle jab at stuff. Let's just leave it there. I'm hoping that, I feel like Rian Johnson probably went in saying, I want to do it my way. And JJ said he was going to do it his way. And what's it called? I can't think of their names. The guys that were doing the Rogue One initially and then got booted off of that. What am I thinking of?
I can't remember.
So the world is littered with creative, interesting auteurs who are brought on to do an interesting take on Star Wars that have been chewed up and spit out by Disney, Star Wars, Lucas, Kathleen Kennedy, etc. So please, please, please don't do this, because this is genuinely somebody who I like and respect and don't want to see, chewed up and spit out.
I'd like to think that they wouldn't do it, but you never know. Obviously, they love Taika Waititi, so Disney as a whole, the Marvel side of it loves him, and clearly now the Star Wars side does. So I can't imagine them treating him that badly. No idea
Yeah,
when this is. Oh, go ahead.
I feel like Taika Waititi has earned the right to do as he wishes with his projects with the mouse at this point. They're not going to dip their finger in the pie too much.
That is, let's hope that's the case. They've demonstrated that they're willing to do that, though, for other directors. He still has to make, Taika Waititi still has to make Thor: Love and Thunder. It says here November 5th, 2021, but I believe we talked that got kicked to February 2022 because of the Spider-Man stuff. So I think that this deadline story doesn't read its own information. So we have no idea when the Star Wars movie will come out. It'll be many years from now. But it is happening. And Greg, I don't know if you're checking out our Facebook live chat, but I think your downstairs neighbors are on and watching the show.
Cool.
So I think that's how I read that.
Although they've moved out and they are no longer my downstairs neighbors.
Well, somebody says nerd chat going on, and we are chatting about Greg's amazing nerdiness downstairs. So.
So that may be, my wife and a bunch of our crazy, hold on, let me mute this. Our crazy Irish friends are downstairs. Oh, nope, that's Tina. Yep, that's our fun, crazy Irish friends dialing in from across the pond.
Oh,
That's
cool.
Awesome.
Nice.
I love your name, Tina, because it's like just one of my favorite Irish names.
And, I'm sure everybody's done the Zap Brannigan joke. And welcome to the show, Tina. Thanks for joining in. All right, moving on to our next topic. And this, if you haven't seen this trailer, folks, go check this out. The first trailer dropped for Jordan Peele's new series, Lovecraft Country. And it's wonderful. Now, I haven't read the book. Greg has, so Greg's going to, I'm sure, weigh in with all sorts of good stuff. But it looks as amazing as the book seems to me, based on what Greg has said to us in previous shows where we talked about it first getting greenlit to be made. What do we think, Greg?
It looks pretty good. They're clearly throwing out some interesting visuals without giving away a lot of what's going on. I don't think, if you didn't know anything about the book, seeing the trailer is not going to give you a huge insight into what's happening, and that's great. It's definitely, so the book itself, it lends itself perfectly to an HBO and Netflix series with multiple episodes, because each chapter, it's almost more of like an anthology than a book with a start, middle, and end, but it all frames together. And each episode, the protagonist or the sort of the main focal character, it's a little like Game of Thrones. Each chapter is a different main person. It's a really fascinating take on Black nerddom and people of color that I don't think, unless you are Black and nerdy, I'm nerdy, I'm definitely not Black, you may not have much insight into. It's a story about a family that lives in Chicago, but it's all about the 50s Jim Crow brutality of white America, but told through a very funky sci-fi, H.P. Lovecraft, not quite Cthulhu, but a lot of his other, like Arkham Asylum and related types of things. And it's about rich white guys trying to take advantage of what they see as poor, disenfranchised Black people. And hopefully it's not a spoiler, but they don't quite do it.
Well, we happen to have on the show tonight somebody who checks both of those boxes. So, Mr. Black and Nerdy, have you seen the trailer, and what do you think about it?
I haven't seen the trailer yet, but I've I've seen enough media about it online where it definitely seems right up my alley, especially with how Greg just topped it up. I mean, I'm I love. First of all, I love nearly anything that Jordan Peele touches. Um, he's become one of like the modern day masters of horror at this point.
Yep.
And this is definitely in his wheelhouse of telling, making a horror story that hits home on a number of levels. Like I would call his style a subgenre of woke horror, and
That's a good description. I like that.
yeah,
Yep.
I'm
Now,
looking forward.
oh, good.
The
I'm
thing
definitely
that
looking forward to the premiere of this. If anybody has an HBO Max account, and
Well, that's
yeah,
not
I
out
may
yet,
have
but
to get
yeah.
it just for that. Yeah. So the thing that I'm looking forward to seeing, and if it was somebody other than Jordan Peele, I'd be a little bit concerned about this. The real hook in the book is that while it's very much got sort of the creepy crawlies from beyond space time that you'd expect from anything that's got the word Lovecraft involved, it's the horror angle is about Jim Crow laws and Jim Crow era U.S. What it was like in the United States during the heyday of Jim Crow, um, to the point where the horror, the sort of the creepy crawly horror, is almost secondary. From the trailer, it looks like they're boosting that up a lot. And I think Jordan Peele is smart enough, uh, creative enough, and dialed in enough that he'll find a way to thread the needle where it's still, you know, look look at these creepy crawlies, look at these explosions, look at these, things blowing up, etc. But he's never going to take his foot off the gas that's a bad choice of phrase. He's never going to let up on the Jim Crow angles.
Yeah, as he shouldn't. So just say, Bonnie X, welcome to the show. And my only possible worry or concern about this is that the co-executive producer is J.J. Abrams. That may mean that Bad Robot is just throwing its money behind it, and if that's the case, that's fine. But I'm not really big on Abrams lately.
me either.
Yeah, so let's hope he has little involvement in this.
Yeah.
Honestly, I can't see Jordan Peele giving up any kind of creative control to anybody at this point.
Yeah.
No. I was
He's
gonna
got
say.
enough. God.
I was gonna say. J.J. Abrams like ideologies on pleasing audiences would not clash well with Jordan Peele's vision of telling a believable story about marginalized people.
Exactly. All right. So, happy birthday, Tina. Apparently. All right. Cool.
So Tina's birthday is actually May the 4th. So it was yesterday.
Well, happy belated birthday, Tina.
Star Wars birthday. So fun fact. This is how small the world is. We met Tina and her fiance and another friend of theirs on a cosplay cruise that we went on several years ago, and have gotten to be good friends with them.
Oh, that Irish couple.
That okay. Irish couple.
Okay.
Her fiance Steven is good friends with Boston's own Deadpool Jim from long before any of us knew him. So the world is very, very small.
It is small. Huh?
That is a very small world. All right, moving on to our next topic. Speaking of worlds and sort of other worlds within our world, that's an awful segue. So what appeared on your screen right there is the amazing Toronto-based cosplayer Kessel Run, this is from 2019 at PAX East, cosplaying as Queen Hippolyta from the Amazons, mother of Wonder Woman, mother of Princess Diana. And the news is that Patty Jenkins has confirmed not only a Wonder Woman 3, of course, everybody knew there was going to be one even before Wonder Woman 1984 came out, but she is going to be making a spin-off movie just about the Amazons. Apparently including Queen Hippolyta, apparently also played by Connie Nielsen, and Antiope, possibly played again by Robin Wright, although I'm assuming... they're saying Antiope appears in a flashback sequence in 1984. Okay, so we don't know for sure that she's going to be in the Amazon spinoff. But I am really excited about this. I'm very much looking forward to what they can do with expanding the Amazon Themyscira world.
I'm definitely on board for this, because there's like, even in like the DC comics, the Amazons have had like, there's such a fascinating culture behind the stuff that they do. I would love to see. I'm hoping that they introduce Artemis as a character.
Did they?
No, not yet.
Okay, all right. All right, I'll have to look into. I thought that Artemis was a character, because obviously Artemis is a foil to Diana, but not initially, right? Or maybe I've got that wrong.
She's been like back and forth. I think right now in the comics she's a frenemy.
Frenemy, gotta love them frenemies. So yeah, this is just literally somebody interviewing Patty Jenkins, and Jenkins made this wonderful announcement, but we don't really know anything further about this. Just that it's going to happen. The only thing we said is Jeff Johns and I came up with the story. This is Patty Jenkins, and we sold the pitch, and we're going to get it going. I'll produce it for sure. So we're not even sure that Jenkins would be the one to direct it. But
well, that's awesome that Jeff Johns and her put their head together for this project.
And nice to see that he's actually still working on content like this. After his sort of separation from whatever role he had. I can't remember what he had a fairly high role in the transition of DC printed content into the movies. He stepped out of that to be sort of his own writer and producer. But it obviously doesn't mean he stepped away from the DC content. Obviously, Jeff Johns, that's where he lives. So, no idea when it'll happen. Literally just a mention in an interview that somebody did with Patty Jenkins. But I'm already 100% on board without having to know anything further about it.
That was the whole opening, quarter on Themyscira was my favorite part of the Wonder Woman movie.
Yep.
I liked the whole movie. There was a lot of great stuff, but something about that setting is just, I don't know, speaks to me as someone who grew up, reading sci-fi and fantasy, fantasy more than anything else. So yeah, I like the idea. I just pulled up an article about this as well. She's talking about she's got kind of an arc in mind for the first, the second, the Amazon movie, then the third movie. So, something in mind is a long way away from execution. But I like the notion that it's not just a studio saying, here's money, go make another movie, and not having any thought as to what that would be. That they've got something resembling, an arc for the whole thing, or a through line.
Yeah, I gotta say the Themyscira parts of the sad leather bikini armor Themyscira parts of Zack Snyder's Justice League were pretty good. I mean, they were arguably the best parts of that movie too. So, yeah, no, I think that's wonderful, and I agree that if they make it tie into some sort of overall narrative arc, kind of like a mini MCU sort of thing, all the better. Yeah, very excited about this. All right, so moving on to our next one, and sticking with the Greek mythologies is this is right up there in the why. What? Who? Why? Why would anybody? Who thought this was a good idea? Who greenlit this? what I'm complaining about is that Disney is going to be making a live-action Hercules remake of the animated Hercules.
Hercules.
If there isn't a role in there for Eddie Murphy doing Hercules, I'm going to be pissed.
Sorry, did I steal your joke, Rodney?
You reminded me of my joke. I actually had thought about that when I first saw this, and I completely lost it. The Russo brothers are producing it, so
Still iffy.
maybe it won't suck. Maybe.
Yeah, maybe I'll flap my wings and fly to the moon.
Good. Well. All right, so let's look at the track.
I'm just going to be honest with you.
Yeah, go ahead.
I don't believe that this movie can go the distance.
Oh. Send him home.
To the penitentiary with you.
Send him to the penitentiary. Or send him home because he just hit the home run so he can go to the showers. I mean...
You can call
Take
me
a lap,
the
Byron.
Punisher.
Take a lap.
The Punisher. So let's look at the track record. Beauty and the Beast?
Not great.
Not great?
No interest in watching that.
Made a boatload of money, though.
That is true. I don't know if you can call any of the other live action. We haven't seen Mulan yet, which is actually live action. But obviously, Lion King wasn't live action. It was photorealistic CGI.
Dumbo sucked.
Made a boatload of money, but everyone panned it.
Dumbo made a lot of money.
Dumbo was trash.
Are you talking Lion King?
I'm sorry, Lion King.
Yeah. Dumbo, good point.
Seen it.
Live action remake, yeah. Live action / anime, or animation. Yeah.
Aladdin.
Aladdin.
Fine.
Aladdin was pretty good, from what I understand. It was okay.
It was fine.
Fine. The curse.
Yeah.
I just don't. First off,
it'll make money. That's all Disney cares about.
Yeah, it will make money.
I mean, the only hope I have, as far as any of this is concerned, I want Danny DeVito to reprise the role.
As does everybody.
Yes.
As Phil, the whatever he's, Satyr, I guess.
Yes. But I mean, this is just another one. This is all of these films are just Disney just saying like, we have money, but we want more.
I mean, come on, it's a business. That's what they do.
Of course.
The problem is does this indicate that they are bereft of any original thoughts? And I don't know that that's the case. They are making original content by the bucket load through their Marvel stuff. Mm-hmm. They are still making hugely popular, if questionable quality, original stuff through the Star Wars.
Yeah. One step forward, 2 steps back.
Well, yeah. So, if they're going to basically make a horrendously obvious money grab out of their animation division into live action, yeah. I don't know.
Yep. No question. So I mean, that's exactly it. I mean, it's easy to point to things and say, you've got no ideas. I mean, I don't think that's the case. If Disney Plus didn't exist, you could make that argument a little bit more, but it's nostalgia sells, and it sells by the bucket load. They already own the IP, the rights to all of these, the story, the music. So it is, I mean, if it's 100 million versus 110 million, that's a drop in the bucket for Disney to make a movie, but it's a little bit easier if you've already got the rights. You don't have to secure that. But it's plain that whatever age group you are, whether you're in your 20s and you're nostalgic for, because you saw Lion King with your parents when you were young, or whether you're 50 or 60 and you grew up watching Lady and the Tramp or Peter Pan or anything like that, they're just going to keep doing it until people stop paying.
Yeah, and that's the thing. There will always be
Good.
There will always be an audience for this. We can, those of us in the review community, we can put our 2 cents into every aspect of it, but we can only change so many. We can only encourage so many people to think critically about these things.
Yep.
But even then, I would like to say that you don't necessarily have to think too critically about it. I don't mind if they make nostalgia play money grabs as long as they, in some fashion, continue to produce new and innovative content, which in other divisions of Disney or Disney Plus or whatever they are. Shawnee, welcome to Twitch, our first Twitch chat. Yay!
Hey, Shawnee.
Woo!
Hi.
If you're our cosplaying friend, Shawnee, wave and say hi. If you're not, wave and say hey. Anyway, but let us know.
And you know who joined? You know who joined us on the Facebook side of things that we should give a shout out to is our good friend Colleen. Hi, Colleen.
I don't see your chat, Colleen. Why don't I not see your chat on Facebook?
She didn't chat. I just saw Colleen joined.
Wow. You're like really checking stuff. I got too many windows open here to do that. Yeah, I'll let you do that.
I'm going to do a super quick throw out here. Granted, I've seen this in other places, but I'm pulling this from Wikipedia, so take it with a bowl full of salt, and things are all subject to change. But the table of upcoming live-action remakes from Disney: Mulan, Cruella, which is obviously 101 Dalmatians, a Peter Pan and Wendy, Little Mermaid, which actually, from what we've seen from casting, etc., looks decent. Yes. Another Jungle Book, Snow White and the Seven Dwarves. They're doing some kind of Pinocchio thing with Robert Zemeckis, so it'll probably be a horrible rotoscoped motion capture nonsense thing. They're doing
Tom Hanks is Geppetto, calling it now.
There you go. So for Disney Plus, so those were all theatrical. For Disney Plus, Sword in the Stone, Robin Hood, an untitled Aladdin spin-off. Okay. Whether that's actually live action or not remains to be seen, but getting... I'm sorry. And the one that just boggles me completely is Lilo and Stitch. I don't know how you make that live action.
Yep.
Also, I'm sorry. So this to me is the perfect example of everyone said it wasn't very good, but Aladdin made an exorbitant amount of money, so we're just going to keep churning out Aladdin. So not only is there an untitled Aladdin spin-off headed to Disney Plus, there is an untitled Aladdin sequel headed to theatrical release.
So I'm just jumping back to the Lilo and Stitch. If they are doing this to make a live-action starring vessel for God, I could never pronounce her name even when it was right in front of me. But Moana. I'm for that. I'm 100% for that. Get some more Polynesians in Polynesian roles, please.
Absolutely.
What I'd love to see is I'd love to see them like do with Moana what they did with Tangled, which is create this whole new lore that would just blow everyone's expectations away.
It would be cool.
Like the Tangled.
Well, just to get onto the subject we're talking about, they did that with the Hercules cartoon series. Remember, they turned Hercules into a cartoon show.
Yes, it was a prequel.
It was a prequel, and the depth of prequel up to. I kind of went into the storyline because Hercules and Hades met in the cartoon show as well.
I'm like, I remember watching that and just thinking like, how?
They explain it somehow. I can't remember how it is. I watched a video on this, but that is generally regarded by cartoon critics as one of Disney's top, up there, kind of in the Gargoyles level of complexity.
Which one? I didn't.
I don't know if I said that.
The Hercules cartoon series.
Cartoon series.
Yeah, they made a cartoon series about Hercules.
There was even a crossover with Aladdin in one episode.
I don't remember that.
Do not remember that. Okay.
It was called, the episode called Arabian Night.
Yeah.
This is like top #1 Aladdin fanboy here. So.
Okay.
All right. So, it's gonna happen no matter whether you like it or not. And if you don't like it, just kind of turn your head and look at some better stuff. Look at some Star Wars or some Marvel stuff or something.
Greg, you forgot the Lady and the Tramp movie on Disney Plus as well.
Yeah, that came out in November. So this
Mhm.
is just stuff that's still in
On
production,
display.
in development, on somebody's whiteboard.
Yeah.
Um, and then the last three that were on this list, Rose Red. So there's not one but two Snow White adaptations coming out. Bambi, which and Hercules, which we've just been talking about. Oh, and we missed Hunchback of Notre Dame, which we did talk about in a previous
Oh yeah. Yep.
episode.
Yep. All right. Hey, Disney's going to make a buttload of money doing these sort of
go.
reboots. And speaking of reboots, I got a sequel or a segue that worked. Yay. So the image that popped up there is, of course, from the amazing sci-fi series Battlestar Galactica, the reboot of the old ABC series from back in the 70s, Battlestar Galactica. And the news is that they're rebooting Battlestar Galactica again. This is going to be on Peacock, which is the new NBC Universal streaming service that is going to launch. Michael Leslie, the lead writer and showrunner of the AMC spy drama The Little Drummer Girl, and who unfortunately also wrote the script for Assassin's Creed, so is going to be in charge of it. But it's being executive produced by Sam Esmail, who did Mr. Robot and Showtime's Homecoming. And I think this guy's a friggin' genius. So I am less bothered or concerned right now about the fact that they're rebooting this thing yet again than I was when I first saw the headline. But I'm still not 100% in on this. Galactica fans? Anybody?
I got into it late, and then Netflix took it away from me. So I never found a legitimate way that it didn't cost an arm and a leg for me to watch it.
Bummer. That's a bummer.
Yeah.
Hopefully,
but I'm definitely on board for it because I'd love to get back into this universe. There were a lot of things. First of all, the amount of representation in the first reboot was awesome. Getting a distinguished actor like Edward James Olmos involved was pretty awesome. And correct me if I'm wrong, but this is supposed to be like a continuation of the previous series, or am I just blowing smoke here?
I don't think so. And let me go back and look through this. I don't see anything here. Series ran, more resuscitated. A prequel. Leslie will work up a reimagined world. So I'm assuming he's going to reimagine the original concept of the 12 colonies and the war with the Cylons, which is the basic structure. Also, the end of Galactica, I'm not going to say anything about it, but it doesn't leave much room for a sequel. And that is not as possibly disturbing or bad as you think based on that. It's kind of indescribable how it doesn't leave room for a sequel, but anyway.
So I don't know if you got this. I just got to give a shout out to Luminous. Luminous wants a reboot of Battle of the Network Stars, which, well played, my friend.
And Luminous, I wish Disney would bring Gargoyles back. Agreed. Juan, welcome to the show. And over here on YouTube, Cristiano, welcome to the show. Nice emoji dab. That's pretty cool.
Since we're talking about shows that we want reboots of, I want this Hanna-Barbera animated universe to somehow make it a Laugh Olympics epic crossover, like their version of the Avengers.
We still have yet to see really how deep the crossover is going to be until Scoob drops.
Well, Blue Falcon's going to be in it. We know that much.
Well, we know that. And since we've seen the dog, so we assume that Dirk Dastardly is in it as well. Muttley, that's yes, that's a great Muttley, dude. That's really solid. So so again, we don't know anything about when we'll see this. It is definitely in the works, though. It is greenlit. It's gonna happen, whether we all like it or not. Honestly, I don't see any reason why they need to do this at this time. But also, I'm not averse to reimaginings. If you've got a good,
Yeah.
Lord knows how, there weren't that many years between the various Batman iterations. So.
Yep.
Yeah. Um, anyway, moving on to our last topic, and it kind of ties in to the fact that Leslie, the guy that's going to be the showrunner here on the Galactic reboot, wrote the script for the movie of Assassin's Creed. This is, of course, about Assassin's Creed Valhalla. The trailer dropped, the announcement was made. I don't know if any of you tuned into the 8-hour-long painting session. That was the location reveal of where the next Assassin's Creed was going to take place. The last one being in ancient Greece, the one before that at the founding of the whole Assassins during Roman Egypt. And eventually, after 8 hours, we realized, yep, that's a Viking. Yep, that coastline is Norway, and that coastline is England. So, okay, it's a Viking story. And then sure enough, they put the trailer out the next morning. And the trailer's pretty awesome. This scene, the screen grab, there we go, that's right up there, is actually from the cinematic in the trailer. I found a bunch of artwork of the various characters, including the main character, who in his male form is called Ivor. But I wanted to show something that was actually at least a cinematic in the game, if not actual gameplay, because the artwork just looks like artwork. What do you think, folks? Valhalla looks like it's a continuation of Odyssey, in which it's at this point essentially an RPG. It's God of War assassins. I like it.
I'm definitely interested in it. I haven't really played an Assassin's Creed game all the way through since the Ezio trilogy. But
arguably the best.
This definitely looks interesting. Now, in the other games, did they go like all in with the fictional aspects of each country, or did they keep it pretty much pedestrian?
So, from what I understand, based on reading this and looking at a couple of things, the game has progressively gotten more involved in the mythology and fiction of the region that they're in. So, like, aside from the science fiction aspect of it, the very first game was an action platformer stealth game that dealt with a little bit of the legend of the area because of the assassins, but that legend is based on true stuff. But it didn't deal anything, you weren't fighting djinns. And then as it moved forward, particularly once it got to Origins and then Odyssey, it jumped in, full boat. You're fighting minotaurs and giant sharks and other things that are from Greek mythology.
So there's a chance we might see Mjolnir in some incarnation, or like maybe an axe named after Mjolnir.
It's possible. They show in the trailer, at least Ivor thinks it's him. There's a hooded figure standing next to a tree in the middle of the battle, and he.
Idrisil?
Huh?
Idrisil?
No, it's not that big a tree. No, the hooded figure is supposedly, or at least Ivor says it's Odin. He yells to his men, "Odin is here and he's with us." And then as he turns to look back at the hooded figure, he's gone, but a raven flies away from the tree.
Yes.
So they imply really strongly that the gods will be involved in this storyline. And they don't tell you much at all about how Ivar is involved with the assassins. In fact, you don't even know that he is until at one point he whips out a wrist blade, and it's on the backside of his wrist, not the inside. But it's clearly a type of assassin's blade. So it looks great. From what I understand, they're leaning even more heavily into the RPG elements. There's even settlement building. Because because
Oh,
you're playing in the period where the Vikings are trying to conquer, or there are Vikings who are trying to conquer parts of England and are setting up settlements in Wessex and Northumbria and so on. And I'm going to push my nerd glasses up for a second. The castle that Boss Logic drew in his painting had round turrets, and those didn't show up until the Norman conquest after 1066. So get your stuff straight there, pal.
I'm glad I'm not the only nerd that's that big of a freaking nerd. I've actually read quite a few fictionalized books, but Harry Harrison wrote a great series
Yes.
on.
Yes.
You know what I'm talking about?
Yes.
Okay. We'll
The
geek out
Cross
on
and
this
the
another
Hammer.
time.
The Cross
Yep,
and the Hammer.
exactly.
Wonderful series.
Really good. So when you said Ivar, I haven't actually seen the trailer yet, but when you said Ivar, I'm like, is it Ivar the Boneless?
So it's
Or is that
Ivor.
going to be Ivor? Okay.
It's Ivor. They definitely,
yeah.
I think, decided not to spell it Ivar, just so that you
Uh,
don't make that association.
So we're gonna get Ragnar thrown into the snake pit, all sorts of fun stuff.
there better be a boss fight with Fenrir, or I'm going to be pissed.
Could be. I mean, there have been big boss fights at the end, from what I understand, of Odyssey, although I haven't played it through. I think you actually at one point take on a Cyclops.
Interesting.
So
So the question I have, I mean, does it look like it'll be decent to play? Like when Byron said he hasn't played it since like the Ezio trilogy, I'm kind of in the same boat. I've tried a couple since then. Didn't love them. Didn't love the ship
I
one.
hated 3.
Didn't love. I tried the I can't even remember what the title was actually. The one in ancient Egypt.
that's
Just
Origins.
Origins. It didn't do much for me. Just the style and the original ones. I mean, the first 2 or 3 were just spectacularly cool and a lot of fun to play. So I'm just curious if, from what we've seen so far, any sense of where on that spectrum we're going to be.
Gameplay seems to be very much in the Origins Odyssey sort of RPG type, combat, settlement building, whatever, and a lot less in the original stealth platformer stuff. But that, even though you aren't such a big fan of it, that was clearly popular. I mean, those last two games sold way more than Unity or others. In the what was the one in London? Anyway, Syndicate. Yes, thank you. I get it, Juan. So Juan said Firefly. Yes, Juan would rather see a reboot of Firefly than Battlestar Galactica. I agreed. And I get that now because of Luminous's comment. I would rather have another sci-fi show from Ron Moore than a new Battlestar Galactica show made by someone else. Also agreed. Ron Moore was amazing. And Mirak, welcome to the show. Mirak, Assassin's Creed Odyssey is a good game. It was popular. I think it was the most popular since Black Flag, which was the boat one, as Greg nicely put.
I couldn't think of the title. It was all right.
I mean, as long as the protagonist is not a dull log like Connor, I'm all in.
Yeah, I mean, great for the My Peeps Native American representation in that game, but yeah, he was not the most charismatic and interesting character to play as. And also if you played Odyssey as Mirak did, and you want to know whether or not the romancing part of it is going to be in there, like in the Mass Effect games and so on, yes. That was apparently super popular. You can mac on people, NPCs in the game, and make them yours. So that will be coming back. I like the idea of this. I think the Viking thing might be a little played out at this point. The Vikings on History Channel ran its course. The Last Kingdom is I guess still going pretty strong, but
God of War.
Well, it's true. God of War was a huge hit, so maybe they haven't played out the Viking stuff. We'll have to see. I'm gonna actually nail down what Greg said. If you are a fan of alternate history, science fantasy, it's kind of hard to describe what that series is like. Harry Harrison's The Cross and the Hammer.
Hammer and the Cross.
Hammer and the Cross. 3-book series. Amazing. Absolutely amazing.
Gets a little messianic towards the end, but other than that, even that wasn't bad. It was just a little much.
Yeah, but it's interesting in that it doesn't just lean on that. It also posits that the gods of the Norse are absolutely as 100% real as possibly the gods of the Christians are. So, really cool series. I'd highly recommend it. And with that, we're over an hour, folks. So we're going to wrap it up. That's our end. Real quickly, anybody have a, could we please or could we not?
Could we please just have everyone be safe with all this nonsense going on? Be smart out there. Remember that it's not all about you and your boredom. And yeah, we're like, there are people that require this separation.
Exactly.
So before you start complaining on Facebook or think about going to your government with their entitled rants, just think about the people who are going to suffer most from this.
Here. Can't think of a better thing to say. Greg, should we call that our one?
I'll throw in, I went out for a mountain bike ride, mask up over the face. There are so many people out walking with their masks around their necks or no masks at all.
Yeah.
And it's hard to watch. So please, if you're in Mass, I haven't followed every state, but in Mass, it's now a requirement. If you are out in a public space, you must wear a mask or you can get a $300 ticket.
It will be tomorrow.
Starting tomorrow.
Goes into
That's
effect
right.
May 6th.
Can I throw out a super quick, also, can we please, for a positive thing, if you haven't seen this and you're a Harry Potter fan, Daniel Radcliffe has been reading the first chapter of Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone. Loads of cool, interesting actors, celebrities, etc. are signed on to read additional chapters from that. So if you're stuck at home, you're looking for something interesting to do, watching Daniel Radcliffe read that is a lot of fun.
Awesome.
So can we get more of those?
Very
Yes,
cool.
please.
And Merrick says Assassin's Creed Odyssey, you can be an assassin, a warrior, or a hunter. Cool. We'll give Merrick the last word. Be safe, you three. Be safe, you as well, Merrick, and everybody else out there, like these two gentlemen said. And with that, we will see you next week. We won't be seeing you at any cons coming up anytime soon, because they ain't any. But continue to watch our channel here. We'll continue this multi-stream. Hopefully I'll get even smoother for next week. And then we'll have other products on our YouTubes and our Facebooks and our website. Thank you, folks. Good night and bye-bye.
Bye.